check.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused.
I agree.
It was hard to get it aroused. We got it aroused.
Hey, that's what we do. I'm just checking my audio. And we're there. It says live, so I think we should just go live and just call it a. And why would you do such a thing? What is happening? Why would you? Let's see, option drag. There you go. And why I'm in there, and then I don't know why my camera resizes every time. I also don't know what's going on with the color from it. What's happening, Logitech? Are you having a moment? Do you need a moment? You having a moment? Is there an issue? I'm concerned, you know. Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's Wednesday. It's the Houseparks Morning Show. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/Houseparks, Infotainmentwars.com. Send your friends here and send your enemies first. I look ghostly. Thanks very much. I do have a little bit of my makeup left on from last night, so it's outlining my eyeballs quite well. Philip Bitner will be joining us. I'm fine. Philip Bitner will be joining us at the 10 o'clock hour. He's I can't speak to what his jet lag is like right now. He's actually here in Los Angeles. So there you go. Thanks for sharing it out, Deirdre. Appreciate it. I'm a pro streamer. It's true. Hello. I've learned so much over the last little bits, you know. Because I teach myself these things. I spend lots of time going, why does this not work? So, what up, Daniel? Good to see you. Hello. Please let Johnson fail. He's an extremist nut. Yeah, he will. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. He's basically like, he's another form of Johnson, or Jim Jordan, rather, is another form of, Johnson's another form of Jim Jordan, but that nobody knows about. You know what I mean? Like, he's meant to be like, the Jim Jordan without name recognition. And in many ways, it was a little bit of what they were trying to do with DeSantis and Trump. That he was like, Trump without the baggage. And then he started, like, creating new baggage, which they all tend to do. Guten Morgen. Kamerahau, or what's that? It's gonna bug me. Anyways, Ohio gozaimasu, Ohio gozaimasu, and ni hao. So to everybody out there, bonjour. I hope you are enjoying a good petit déjeuner this morning, if it is lunchtime, le lunch. So yeah, they're walking, talking baggage. It's true. So, and please, why does the chat just not want to roll on this version? Because it just overuses it and it doesn't like it. I think I'm going to try a different browser for the stream chat because it's bugging me. It just, for whatever reason, I don't know, but I hate it. See if it plays a little faster and cleaner in this guy. The stream is fooked, is it? I've got decent numbers on my end. Terribly sorry. Is your volume low? No, my volume's pretty good. I might not be talking as loud because my voice is a little bit. Check staff chat. Oh, I will. Okay, thank you. Is Philip confused about when he comes on? Is that the issue? Don't switch. Fabulous. Bannon Rebecca explains House Speaker situation with Tom Emmer. Oh, Tom Emmer, right. Yeah, he's the guy who got booted. All chats present, Mike, perfect, excellent. Let's see. Links given to Gabe Sanchez first hour, Philip second hour. Oh, Gabe Sanchez's first hour. Oh, good. Okay, so hold on one second. Let me see if he's popped in here in this thing, and see if the Gabe's. Okay, so is Gabe coming on in the first hour? Is that the case, or is it today? Am I reading another day? But Philip is on second hour, and I did speak to him this morning by the chit chats, and so all of that is there. Okay, and then yeah, no, the chat for some reason it just does not like. Um, Good luck, summer first show. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we've got Gabe. Is Gabe coming in? Does Gabe have the proper links? And it might be one of those situations where we're yes, Gabe is coming on. Excellent. Okay, cool. Excellent. Um, that's okay. Send me a link for what Gabe would like for Gabe's site, whichever the primary ones I'll seek. I can put a graphic together. I think that would be good. But in the meantime, hello everyone and welcome. So much going on in the world, don't you know? And if I may, let's go to trends here. See, the chat just wants to like get hung up for some reason. I don't know why. It drives me a bit batty, don't you know? It's very strange. See, it just kind of like flows and then it stops and then it sticks and then it goes. And it's very peculiar. I can't figure out why that is. The chat on my app works just fine. Super weird. I'm like I'm gonna have to like. Oh, and look, and I'm off center. My camera's off center again. I just gotta rotate through and fix all these things every single time on this laptop. It's just terrible. I'll manage. I'll be fine. And last night was a great time at the Ultimate Jam Night. Like I said, I still have a little bit of makeup, although the makeup removal towel, like the handy towel things that I got, are just magic. I mean, I'm sure they cause space cancer, but because they work so well. But they really did get all the makeup off really good. I'm used to looking like heroin chic for about 2 days after anytime I do anything that requires a lot of eyeliner, and it looks pretty good. I need that buzzy transition noise gone if possible. Oh, the transition isn't supposed to make a noise anymore. I tried to fix that. It's so very strange. Let's see. Edit scene transitions. Okay. Stinger. Edit. Audio monitoring off. Monitor only. Okay. And then that should be okay. Done. Fixed. I think it does. We'll see. I will hear it, but you will not. Perhaps. We'll see. And at the very least, excellent. Okay, cool. CSL is typing. Fantastic. I've got my setup for Gabe, the regular old-fashioned version. The links will be what we normally give to Phil and them, just to clarify everybody. The audio crossfades, I don't know why that does it. It's just Streamlabs is being a dick. It's the only way I can figure it. Like I have to set up regular OBS for my Rode rig because this is just being an idiot. It's so very strange. That makes never go to bed with your makeup on. I agree. Especially not crying and eating ice cream at the same time. Like that's a bad mix. What's up, internet family? There's Boston Brian. Am I seeing you tonight, Boston Brian, at the Flapper show? Are you gonna try and suffer through driving again one last time, or is he back in Boston and he already bailed on me? Son of a bitch. Good times. When will Hal be interviewed by Jiminy Glick? It'll happen. Wonderful. Long time. What? What? Donut. I gotta try this. Boston. Did you know Steve he pass out? Steve. How did you know Steve he pass out? Steve, which Steve are we talking about? He's trying to get on? Okay. That's curious. Okay. Give me 1 second. If we have to, I will, let's see. Let me copy the link and I'll send it to you again in case there's something different. There you go. And there's there it is. It might be that the whole like 0 versus O situation, and it is an O. Just copy and paste it, make sure they've got the right one. Hopefully that'll be all right. Everybody got in the last time, so it worked all right for the Saturday show. So everything should be up and running just fine. We shall see. And Boston Running Hours LA, saw that. So you see it just kind of, it's on this weird lag, and then it goes wham. Just been listening to the Biden speech with the Australian Prime Minister. It was a good speech. Yeah, it's all good. Thank you. Hi, Salary. Yes, I am on the road. I am indeed on the road. Hence my lack of genuine green screen. Red Eye Warrior. That's just, that sounds wrong. Okay, and if we have a problem with getting Gabe on through that thing, I will send the other link. Okay, you'll have to reschedule. Oh, he's going to reschedule for Friday? Okay, gotcha. I see. All right. Well, Phil will be in then in our regular time then at 10 o'clock. Excellent. Friday will be great because I'll be back in the home studio and everything should be pretty flawless. Yeah? That works for me. He said he got an important call. We can do Friday. Yes, that works great. 9 a.m. Friday, my time works great. Gabe Sanchez, and then we have the ability to promote properly. It's all right. Totally good. So Gabe Sanchez is going to be on the first hour on Friday for Friday AI, and then I think and we don't have anybody second hour, do we? We'll see. The morning show is just lighting up with guests. I'm just saying. Yes, Rip Richard Roundtree. Yes, Shaft. Yeah. Shut your mouth. Shaft passed away. Yeah, Richard Roundtree, which one of those pivotal turning point actors, and for all practical purposes, an amazing guy. So that's sad. It's one of those things where during the resurgence of Shaft when Sam Jackson did it and stuff, I wished that he'd played a bigger part in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, maybe he didn't want to. That's none of my business. You know, like you always assume, because I'm one of those people that's going to be like doing shows when I'm 150. So I like the idea. Some people don't, I guess. But I guess I shouldn't rule that out. Totally not a problem, Andrea. And we have lots to cover today, anyways. Not the least of which is where is Alina Habba, very upset that people are snickering and whispering and rolling their eyes while she was questioning Michael Cohen. And apparently she's like yelling at him as well. One of Donald Trump's attorneys in the New York fraud lawsuit made a delicate request ahead of another day of testimony for Michael Cohen. Defense attorney Alina Habba told Supreme Court Justice Arthur Engoron. I think he's just I don't think he's not SCOTUS. Anyways, weird typo. Okay. Arthur Engoron, the judge, at the start of Wednesday trial, noting that she was once a law clerk herself, and that she found it incredibly distracting when there were eye rolls and whispering during her cross-examination. And he, as I would suggest, maybe not being stupid, if at all possible, which I think therein lies the rub. Lisa Rubin said the eye rolling was coming from the judge and his law clerk. Engoron immediately granted a request to stop it without further argument, and Cohen's testimony resumed a short term afterwards. After Donald Trump arrived alone behind his legal team, Habba's request was noted on the record, which could then potentially be raised on appeal. I see. And then this is the other big story. So the idea that Mark Meadows has flipped or has gotten an immunity deal. I don't know why anyone is surprised at this, because the recording of Trump saying, the stuff about the Iran strike plan and the showing of it and all that happened during the writers taking notes on the Mark Meadows book. And that audio and the related materials came from Mark Meadows. And I got to believe that there aren't just recordings of Trump saying, here's how we would attack Iran if they attacked Israel, which is what that plan really was. But that I mean, Meadows is a fucking idiot. So, of course, he blathered about, and Trump blathered about, the Jan 6 plan on tape in front of his biographers. They're stupid people. Thank God. Thank God this entire thing was run by morons. Otherwise, it would have just been like they would have actually made some headway. They might have actually, hold on, close this down. They might have actually succeeded, which they were never going to do. All right. And now back to you, lovely chat folks. Fantastic. Oops, hold on, my watch is making noise. Don't forget, I don't know why I don't have the, I probably in this screen, whatever, I should go back to here. So bunch, yes, love and hello to everybody as well. We've got a lot of stuff to cover this afternoon. I will be doing a show. I will start it a little bit early because I have to go to Flappers and set up for the live stream for the Patreons. And it always, every time I show up there and I think everything's going to be fine, it's not. So I always have to get there about an hour and a half early to set that. And then maybe, just maybe I can go eat. So we'll see. And I'm also, even though my voice is a bit worn out, I've got to sing on, Bumper's been recording a song and he wants me to sing background vocals on it. So it's a very full day. It's a very full day. Good times. Yes, well, that's the thing, Slayer Chick. I want, my intention is to have it stream. That's up to Flappers and their setup. I don't know if it's working right now. I do know it's set up to record, so we're good. If it isn't, and then I find that out, because Burbank is not that far away, I technically could come back here, as a matter of fact, after the show this afternoon, I will pack up my laptop and all the stuff that goes with it, and my little, whoops, hold on, my little side cam over here, this little Elgato guy, and I can bring that with me, and just in case their shit is, pushed in, I can reach in there and, set up that camera and my laptop and just tape it, just record it straight to a hard drive, in theory. So I've got backups on backups, but I want it to stream, and the whole point is to stream it live to our patrons. But that's up to Flapper's ability, and they're supposedly going through a big makeover, which is very cool. They may have a relatively big name investor. I don't know who I'm supposed to, how much I'm supposed to talk about, but if it works out for them, it'd be a very nice upgrade for them. And in that case, they would be setting up a system where it will be much higher quality. These days, between the cameras that are available and the shit you can get, and the fucking AI boost that you can get, and all, eventually there's every comedy club, their live stream is going to look like comedy specials from 5 years ago, 4K multicam with moving cameras, even if the cameras can't move, because they can create a fake AI version of it by going from this camera to this camera, by filling in the gaps, and generative AI, that kind of shit. Thanks for understanding, Slayer Chick. I will do my level best. You guys know that I get under the hood of shit and try to get it working, and even when it's other people's things. And so every time I've been at Flappers, the last 3 times when they've been having these issues, I'd be like, do you need me to, I can set up your computer for you if you need me to, I'm such an idiot. I'm I got a show to do, and I'm worried about the shows that other people are doing there, because I want them to have tape of their shows. I'm just that kind of guy. All right. I do not have coffee this morning. It would have been a good idea, because I am a little bit wiped out after last night. I didn't sleep tremendously well because I was wired after the show, as you do. I think people forget that our government's not a building. As long as the president is protected, they could give a shit about any other political person. They're expendable. Oh, yeah. That's got to be relating to something else, Cat Fem. I didn't see the top of that conversation, but we will. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I believe in all art. The more, the merrier. So yeah. Uh, I'm watching on YouTube, but want to say hi on Twitch just because I can. Well, thanks, Mud Lake Slim. Appreciate it. I think people there it is. Okay. Wish I had QR codes for your Patreon, Discord. Do you have a Discord? Oh, I do have a Discord. We have a Discord. And it's part of the, like being a patron. You get to a Patreon supporter. You get to use the less crowded Discord server. And yeah, it's still free. Oh yeah. So yeah, even for the people who aren't patrons, you can still join the Discord. Yeah, it's I didn't really realize when I got into Discord like that it's an expense, like it's a genuine expense, like it's as or more expensive to run a Discord than it is to like some of the other services I use to stream the show through multiple sources. That's been a lesson. I don't know if it would have been cheaper to set up a Ning. Ning is a sort of open source generic social media website architecture. It costs money, but it's just basically you can build whatever your social media group is inside that. And it's not that different from Discord ultimately, but it's, I think it's probably a wash. But it would have been although it does say it sound a little cooler saying join our Discord versus join our Ning. Yeah. Ning. That said, hold on, let me open up something real quick. There's a bunch of stuff this morning, not the least of which is that, let's see, House set to vote on 4th Speaker nominee. That's today, yeah. We'll see. That doesn't look promising. Mike Johnson, yep. Was the most important architect of the GOP Electoral College objections in 2020 election. Yeah, I don't see him getting much, I feel like he's going to get the same objections Jim Jordan did. Why wouldn't you? I have to say that the way let's see. The way the New York Times is covering Gaza, let me show you this real quick, is very telling. This is New York Times updated. Israel-Hamas war, Gaza health crisis deepens as Israeli strikes continue. The part of this are these are wholly unrelated. The Gaza strikes themselves are not on hospitals, for example, and this kind of paints the picture that, like, again, the Al Azhar hospital, the Baptist hospital that was there. Thanks, Katie. It was not destroyed by Israel. It was destroyed by a random rocket failure from Hamas, as are a bunch of these sites. So yes, Israel is blowing up certain buildings. Yes, they are striking them. They're warning people before they do it and saying, get out. They know it's a Hamas site. And then there's this kind of like, you can tell by the imagery that they use of what's available, what Hamas allows out, what you're seeing in terms of this, the sausage fest. That's the Hamas guys roaming around. That's not a situation where the civilians that were in a building are all gathering outside. Where did my building go? Look at the group there. That is all men in a certain age range. This is effectively Hamas staring at one of their sites that was blown up. And yet it's talked about like, Israel is indiscriminately hitting, like Israel's, quote, wide-scale attacks on Gaza include targets in southern cities like Khan Yunis an area which residents were being urged to evacuate. Yes, they're being told to leave the places where missiles are coming from. They do it. You guys don't see that? You should see it. Yeah. Oops, sorry. My camera. Why does but then they loop this. And again, there's a psychological effect when you loop a piece of video that and the New York Times and all these sites are well aware of this. That it seems like you're seeing it happen over and over again. I'm sorry, it went out of frame. I fixed it. Hopefully it's okay. Right? Every single thing I see makes Israel the monster. It's so complex. I feel all over the place. Yeah, well, that's the problem. The problem with this is even the call for the ceasefire that Ilhan Omar and Ayanna Pressley and them did yesterday was one of the most grotesque, emotionally manipulative bullshit sessions I have seen in a long time. I gotta say, there's an element of, we use this analogy with Ukraine when it was attacked by Russia. These people calling for we need a peace. Every time Russia starts losing, the same cast of assholes comes out and starts going, we need a ceasefire. We need to stop this right now. They don't say it when Russia's winning. They say it when Russia's getting their ass kicked in a very obvious sense. We need a peace agreement because Russia's sending out feelers through the people that are sympathetic to them and sending them, talking points essentially saying, start pushing this idea. Start calling people who are attacking us for attacking someone else warmongers. That kind of shit. Strictly speaking, the Russians could end this war tomorrow. They could get the fuck out. Period. End of story. NATO's not going to invade the Russian territory with post 91 or pre 91 borders, or even post 91 borders, for fuck's sake. They're not. NATO expansion is not a forceful act. It is voluntary. Everybody who joins NATO joins because they want to or they think they have to because of Russia's aggression. Period. End of story. It's not we're not crowbarring or strong-arming anybody. We're not forcing people. If you want to be part of the EU, you also have to join NATO. It's nonsense. It's fucking garbage. And more people, and Vladimir Putin's attack on Ukraine has expanded NATO faster than any other act could have because it's a defensive organization. It is not an offensive organization, period. Now, the same conversation about Gaza and Hamas. There has been a lot of, talk about Israel being the Russia in this situation and Gaza being the Ukraine, in this descriptive. There's a real problem, though, in that analogy, and I've heard it multiple times. Ukraine did not fire thousands of rockets into Russia and then send in rape and murder squads to kill and abduct people. As a matter of fact, that's what Russia did. Russia just decided it was too tired of playing nice at all. It wasn't liking the pace of peace. And it wasn't, it didn't really want normalization. What it wanted was attrition. And so it attacked. And that's exactly what Hamas did. The parallels in this situation are Russia and Hamas, Ukraine and Israel. Because whatever you talk about, the borders and the rights to the land and blah, 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 these borders have been in functional use for decades. And multiple people have settled in on that we should be able to normalize this and all this kind of thing. And Hamas specifically said, we tricked Israel into thinking we meant peace. Ha, ha, ha. And they never saw it coming because they were letting Palestinians get day passes to go into Israel and started normalizing relationships. And Hamas was like, well, we fucked that up and that'll never happen again. And then Israel tells Palestinians to evacuate an area because they're living in or around a building that Hamas is launching rockets from, specifically turning into a military site, saying, hey, we're going to hit this military site, please leave. There has never, ever, that I'm aware of, been a situation where Hamas has warned Israelis, or for that matter, anyone in Israeli territory, that a bomb is coming. Ever. Hey, we're going to hit this area. You should get out of the way. We're going to destroy this tower, this area, this neighborhood, whatever. Never. Not once. Israel has been working on peaceful exchange with the Palestinians for the last 5 years especially. And there had been progress made. Quite a bit of it. And there's stops and starts in this because it's all based on, two groups of people thinking certain rocks on Earth are magical. That's always going to be a problem. If that's your root problem, till you work that shit out, it's going to be an issue. But the vast majority of people, especially in modern life, still believe those rocks are magical, but not that much more magical than anything else. And they would rather just live in peace in the general area because they think of it sort of colloquially as their home. And when it comes to Israelis, it's because they feel like, especially as Jewish Israelis, and there is a distinction, there are Christian Israelis and there are Muslim Israelis. But the Jewish Israelis feel like at post-World War II, they needed a place to go where they were safe. Specifically, they needed a homeland because other countries had violently rejected or tried to murder them, including the surrounding countries around Israel since World War II. And again, if you want to buy a stamp with Hitler's face on it or a swastika, you can buy one in Syria right now. The Houthis in northern Yemen, they stand in the street giving Nazi salutes. Nobody makes them do that. Nobody insists. The CIA and MI6 aren't manipulating them into standing in the streets in large groups doing the Nazi salute. And considering their main enemy is Saudi Arabia, they're going out of their way to be anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish. It's this weird thing, is when we're done with the Saudis, then we'll kill the Jews. It's that kind of stuff. And the idea that somehow you're gonna converse with a crowd like that is a little silly. With just eight trucks making it into Gaza overnight and hospitals increasingly overwhelmed, the humanitarian crisis in the besieged enclave. I mean, even the way they're talking about this. Why is it besieged? I mean, you can make an argument using, think about it in terms of this language, that Israel it was besieged by Hamas, and if they are able to retrench and try again, they will do worse the next time, and worse the next time after that, and worse the next time after that. They are responding to that to being besieged, right? So, WHO said on Wednesday that 12 of Gaza's 35 hospitals were not functioning and that 7 major hospitals were well over capacity, risking patient safety. European Union leaders scheduled to meet in Brussels on Thursday were set to ask for a humanitarian pause to facilitate aid deliveries. That's not going to happen because Hamas fires rockets next to hospitals on purpose. It uses the hospitals as shields. So they're going to have to clear the area to get Hamas out of there and then help rebuild the hospitals. That's how this is going to go. Because Hamas is going to use the hospitals and schools and apartment buildings as a launching point to kill Israelis and regroup to do another attack like they did on October 7th. They've said as much. They intend on it. There's no stopping them. So the only option is to root them out. And there's no situation where the Palestinians right now, as en masse, are saying, it's not us, it's those guys. There they are. Get them, or we'll turn them in, or we'll admit who was engaged in this kind of shit, or we'll help you find the hostages, any of that stuff. None of that is happening. And so this is what is going to happen in in response. And there's, I mean, I don't, the odd part is, and this part of the conversation that I find very confusing, is the Blame America crowd, like Hassan and all that crowd, are more than happy to say, and he's literally said America deserved 9/11. Now, for whatever you think about America deserved 9/11, you're essentially saying that the 3,000 people that were in the towers deserve to die for the sins of America. And that all the people who lost their jobs and their livelihood unrelated to it deserved it, even for shit that happened before they were born, before they could vote, before they did anything. Because they've got it coming. You know, because of past historical wrongs done by the United States. Therefore, these 3,000 people, some of them not even U.S. citizens, who were at work that day, deserve to die in a fire or jump out of the top floor of a fucking building because of that. Which is, I mean, it's just madness. It's just, that level of insanity is grotesque. And not just because it's gross on its own merits, but because the flip side of it is then, well then, how do you defend quote unquote innocent Palestinians when Hamas, their elected government, did what it did on October 7th? Because it doesn't sound like you're saying this is retribution, this is revenge, and it's just, you know, this is just the response. What kind of response do you expect? Right? Makes no sense. I have a new one. Oh, well, thanks, Poop Picker Upper. I'm glad you got it sorted out. Thank you. Appreciate the support for new road equipment, because we definitely need it. This laptop is a little long in the tooth. Get out of here. There's a mosquito in this room, and it chewed the shit out of me yesterday. I got bit twice on my hand while doing the show. Yeah, it's like that. Anyways, UN Agency for Palestinians in Gaza says it will have to make very tough decisions if it doesn't receive more fuel. Now, again, they showed this picture with Palestinians outside a bakery in South Gaza Strip, city of Khan Yunis, on Tuesday. That's a line at a bakery. There are not bakeries in prisons. Let's just, again, the anti-anthropomorphication of the Palestinians is also another grotesque aspect of this. That they live in Gaza like animals, and they eat like the same gruel that Bruce Wayne was eating in the Chinese prison, right? When he was just practicing beating up criminals, and he was eating like what looked like clumpy spooge in a fucking pan, right? Remember that? That's the sort of mental picture. And that there's a genocide going on, whereas the Palestinians' population has doubled in the last 10 years. Like Palestinians should stop Hamas if they don't want to be blown up by Israel. I'm just making the comparison. 250K home is in the chat saying that. I'm just making the comparison to what people say about other countries getting what they deserve. Just think of all the, like, Ukraine has a Jewish president right now, and yet all the other folks are like, well, yeah, but they deserve to be attacked because they're Nazis who elected a Jewish president, but whatever. They're Nazis, and, you know, it was because they were thinking about 8 years ago maybe joining NATO because somebody brought it up. So 8 years ago, somebody brought it up. So therefore, Russia is justified to do Bucha. Right? And I said this before the other day, but there's no situation where someone sexually assaults a woman in, like they did at that music festival, and commits a war crime against that person, and in their head is, this will be revenge. No, this is just a dude using the power of the moment to sexually gratify himself with a woman that he's attracted to, using vengeance as cover. Just, ugh. So, Kevin, easy to talk about international struggles from the comfort of your American bubble. No, it's actually a very complicated conversation. And a lot of it has to do with what America's responsibility in this, if at all, is. Also, part of that quote unquote comfortable American bubble has a lot to do with the fact that we have, as a country, been through these struggles. We've had a civil war. We put it in the in the rearview mirror. Even our current struggles, by comparison, are the current state of the Republican Party, as awful as it is, and Donald Trump being as terrible as he is, and Jan 6 as being as bad as it is still a cartoon version of that. But I mean, everyday people who pick a side and don't know the dynamics of the situation. Exactly. I'm just clarifying my position on this, so there's no confusion, Kat. Again, this kid right here in the soccer jersey is, I guarantee, a soccer fan. Like, most of these kids would fit into any American city if they were raised in a situation where they were allowed to even believe anything close to liberal democratic values. They just would, which is why Hamas fights back against it so much. The UN agency that aids Palestinians in Gaza said if no fuel got into the blockaded territory on Wednesday, it would have to make very tough decisions on how to provide humanitarian assistance. It might have to close some of its operations. Well, I got news for you. It's going to have to close some of its operations in northern Gaza, because that's where the bombing's going to have. That's where they're going to destroy the tunnels. They're going to move into that area. There's going to be a ground war, so they need to spend what fuel they have getting people south. The problem is Hamas has also mined the roads and put IEDs in there so people can't leave. In the same way that the Taliban let that ISIS-K suicide bomber into the airport to keep their people from fleeing because they didn't want the brain drain. The agency, UNRWA, which, by the way, the Palestinians are the only refugee group that have their own UN group. Everybody else just falls under the UN refugee charter, no matter where they're from. Fucking Bosnians, Ukrainians, people in South Sudan, one organization, all that shit, big blanket. The Palestinians themselves have their own specific UN refugee support group. Operates shelters and healthcare clinics across Gaza. Has been a lifeline for hundreds of thousands who have been displaced, injured, and made homeless by Israeli airstrikes. Now, listen to the phrasing on this. It has been tasked in cooperation with other UN bodies with distributing limited aid supplies that have been allowed into Gaza through the Rafah border crossing into Egypt. Even this, in and of itself, is propaganda language. It is. Our Palestinians in that area who have electricity provided by the Israelis and by Egypt, and they could create it on their own. Nothing stopping them from having a gas power plant or any of that stuff. But they have their own specific UN group. Are they more important in that refugee status than Sudanese people? And you could argue that there's been African civil wars that have gone on, for all practical purposes, as long as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in the modern era, right? At least since Yasser Arafat, right? Decades, multiple decades. They don't have a special group. They don't. They don't have a substructure. And you could argue that operate shelters and healthcare clinics across Gaza, and a lot of who they have to treat is because of Hamas's shit rockets, their dumb rockets that they fire into Israel, and they have about a 10% failure rate. 10% blowback just from their own rockets. That is a large portion of who gets treated at these health clinics. Yeah? So, United Nations Security Council will vote this afternoon on two rival resolutions from U.S. and Russia. The Russian resolution calls for a ceasefire. While the U.S. does not mention a ceasefire, it states that Israel has the right to defend itself. Russia wants a ceasefire because I mean, because Hamas and Russia are the same in both of their fights. In both of these situations, Hamas and Russia are morally in the same spot. They believe they have the right to that territory. They believe wiping out the other group is their only method. It is in their languaging. Russia has said they have to denazify Ukrainians. We have to kill people to get rid of this idea that Ukrainians even is in existence at all. The Hamas has in their charter that Israel and the Jewish people have to finish, have to die. They have to go away forever. They have to be destroyed. That's why they're aligned. Hamas and Russia think the exact same way about their perceived enemy. The Ukrainians and the Israelis, quite frankly, in these situations, at least in the modern era, do not. And there seems to be a big group of people who are like, want to roll back to before anybody that was in charge in these situations and say, your citizens have to pay a death price for the perceived wrongs in the very creation of your country. And again, those people do it mostly in the United States and from the warm side of a bay window in Europe. Yeah. So, as the war rages and the humanitarian situation in Gaza deteriorates, the Council has been divided and paralyzed over the word of resolutions. Calls for immediate ceasefire have gained speed at the UN and dominated a council session on Tuesday. Again, I have to say, these calls for ceasefires sound a lot like what we heard out of, people trying to stop Ukraine from fighting back last year. Same people, same shit. It's like this rape victim needs to stop scratching everybody. She needs to stop fighting back because you're going to wake up the kids. There's too much noise. Just lie back and take it for the sake, so we can all go back to sleep. That's the moral equivalent to this argument. It's grotesque. The French Navy will send a ship within the next 40 hours to support hospitals in Gaza. And by the way, this is all while the United States, France, the UK are providing humanitarian aid for the people in Gaza, for the Palestinians. The argument is not that food aid and medical supplies and support shouldn't get into Gaza. Nobody's saying that. As a matter of fact, the United States is predicating our support of Israel on it. Joe Biden has been very clear, as has Anthony Blinken, about this stuff. That's the part that goes without saying, although I guess it needs to be said. We're for that. We're for getting aid to the Palestinian people in there. But this illusion that somehow Hamas can dictate the terms of like war and ceasefire, they can kill as many people as they want and then they just retreat behind the people and go, hey, you can't shoot at me. You're going to hit one of these people. And so the Israelis have to go, oh, they're on base. Can't do anything about it. They got us. Oh, and then they have to wait till it happens again. And then again, and then again is absurd. No one would ever do it. No human being one-to-one would ever do it, and you have to be able to morally convince me that you can extrapolate what you would do in the direct defense of your own family in these situations, that you can extrapolate that out into a warlike situation. Which, by the way, I don't think most of you would be cool with someone who looks like that killed someone who looks like me. So therefore, I'm going to paraglide into a music festival and rape someone. And then claim justice or equivocation. Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? There is no moral equivalency in that. It's just, it's mindless blather. And bombing a place that's firing rockets at you is a direct equivalency in a war situation. When someone is firing on you and you fire back on that place, if they choose on purpose to surround themselves with civilians and refuse to let those people leave, the deaths of those people are on that group, not on the people firing to keep themselves from being killed. You understand? When Stilson holds up the baby in the dead zone, it does not automatically make the Christopher Walken's character the bad guy, the villain in that situation. Oh, this fucker wants to shoot through a baby, right? That idea. You don't get to morally put the death toll that you caused on someone else. And in a situation like this, where you're firing rockets from the tops of apartment buildings, and for the whole thing about, well, it's an open air prison and everybody lives in there and everybody's all cramped and you have nothing to do. They had enough space to build a fake Israeli village so that they could practice their attack. Notice how they didn't fire any rockets from there. International law disagrees, Hal? No, it does not. No, it does not. If you strap a bunch of your own citizens to the outside of a building that's about to launch a nuclear weapon someplace and everybody has to blow it up to stop that warhead from leaving, you're not on the hook for the civilian deaths that those people fucking duct tape to the outside of the building. Honest to God, it's so very weird. Sure is, and even outside of Israel, I saw a wariness within our very small Jewish community. Most of my neighbors were Jewish, so they would never say so, but we lived close to the synagogue and their schools, so it became obvious. None were overly Orthodox, but all had relatives killed by the Nazis. I can't having more empathy with them, as they have a beautiful religion and we're to a man friends. Can you move on, please? I hope so, Kelly. I hope we can. Now, we're going to talk about Ukraine in a couple of minutes because Philip Bitner will be joining us live. Oops, I need to show this in there. There you go. And let's see. Sorry about that. Disappear. Now I'm going to change my room. The reality is, the New York Times reporting on it is entirely Hamas based. Honest to God, like all of the read on it operates. You know how I have a problem with the economics of the modern day being talked about as if COVID never happened? The reporting from the New York Times right now acts as if October 7th never happened. Seriously. Yeah, like they're like Hiba Yazbek, who writes for the New York Times, literally quotes the Gaza Health Ministry, which is run by Hamas, and just, first of all, just bullshit, just flat out propaganda coming from Hamas, and then on top of that, children that were literally harmed by Hamas rockets are paraded around as victims of Israeli strikes. It's not, there's not even a question. And I will say, one of the things that will put an end to all this, one of the things that will finally draw some of this shit to a close, some of the stuff that will shift the narrative and the dynamic going forward, is the amount of information that we get. We went through this kind of like era of like sort of gentleman's agreement conversations where the news was, there was a big period of only certain news stories made it to the top, and everything else was kind of a peripheral detail, which was fine when you had an hour of news every night. Then we got cable news, and then there was a shit ton of both siderism, right? Where everything's the moral equivalency police were always there, and it was never a situation where the conversation was balanced in that, where you have like CNN wouldn't have somebody where somebody's thinking about building a Holocaust museum. So CNN brings on somebody who believes they should put together a Holocaust museum and thinks that that people should be reminded of it. And then the other side of that would be bring on someone who doesn't think we need a Holocaust museum because there are better things to focus on, or you can it should be about, there should be a historical museum about the contribution of Jews throughout history, and you can have a part of it be about the Holocaust, but most of it about the contribution of Jews to the world, and and how they've made it better, that kind of stuff, right? But what CNN would do is there's a person who wants to build a Holocaust museum and another person who doesn't believe the Holocaust happened. That's not the polar opposite of the conversation about building a Holocaust museum. That's the polar opposite of reality. And it's an extreme example, but that's the issue that I have with that part of it. Now, we are moving into an era between, and with all the fear about fake AI stuff and how we're going to have to judge and rejudge. Hold on. Hey, Philip Bitner's there. He is. I see him joining us. Where the there he is. But where the geolocation of a myriad of things really happened in certain news stories, which will change the conversation entirely. So let me bring in Philip Bitner right now. Give me 1 second, and here we go. There he is. See, takes a second because everything runs super slow on this little laptop, which is cooking. And trying to hide this out. And I hear you. Oh, I lost your audio there, I think, Phil. But hold on 1 second. I might have to, but no, there he is. Okay. So let's see. Why am I not hearing you all of a sudden? Hold on. Oops, there he goes. That's fun. It's always good when they vanish. I'll refresh his microphone. It's his laptop mic. It should be. Make sure that your laptop mic is coming my way. I don't see any audio coming from your direction. There, you're muted and unmuted, but I don't see it going in there. I did see the movement on it, but there you go. Give me 1 second. I'll go back to me until you figure that part of it out, so we don't have to hem and hump and haul around in that regard. Let's see. I gotta change that. I'm requesting you refresh your mic. I don't know if it does it on there. You see that? You can't hear me? So there's just audio issues overall. Tell you what, folks, we're going to stop down for 1 second. I'm going to bring Phil into another piece of software.